Hello, you all. Hello. Come on in. Welcome, people. Welcome. This is HQ, and you see the moniker. Okay. Is it only white racism that it matters? Is the only racism that we have in this country white racism? And I had to posit something totally and completely different about that. Okay. That's wild. Let me play this video really quick.
Racism anymore in the USA.
Yeah, woo, thank you, Trump.
And I did it. You're welcome.
USA, Trump, whites forever.
That's wild. I found that on the internet. Tonight's conversation is about history. Not the sanitized version that the president wants you to see. Not the version where America just magically woke up one day and everybody suddenly had the same access, the same rights, the same protections, and the same opportunities. Because that is not what happened here. Okay? What we're watching right now is a deliberate effort by this administration to dismantle the legal and social provisions that were built to protect people of color by pushing a so-called colorblind lens. They're attempting to redefine civil rights history here, framing race-conscious policies as the real discrimination, while intentionally ignoring why those policies were required in the first place. They're calling it neutrality. But let's be clear about that. When you remove the protections designed to stop a system from favoring one group over the other or all of the others, you aren't creating a level playing field, okay? You are reclaiming a hierarchy, okay? That's the historical context this administration keeps trying to flatten out. You cannot talk honestly about affirmative action, DEI, and voting rights because they just removed the last protection in the Voting Rights Act, Civil Rights Act, or wealth disparities if you refuse to talk honestly about the systems that created those conditions. That's like showing up to the middle of a football game, ignoring the scoreboard and pretending both teams started at zero. Both teams did not start at zero. That's what this administration is not understanding. We did not start at zero. White people and people of color, black people, did not start at zero. Both of us did not. For generations in this country, black Americans were legally blocked from voting. And I have to say this to y'all for y'all to understand. I was born in a time where I was not even considered a whole 100% human being. Let that sink in. I was born into a country that did not see me as a full 100% human being. I was born before the Civil Rights Act. So therefore, I was not considered a human being, a full human being with full human rights. I was born into that system. We did not start at zero. This is what the administration does not take into account when they start zeroing out black progress and the Civil Rights Act and the Voting Rights Act. For generations in this country, black Americans were legally, and Hispanics were legally, and Asians, let's be clear, all people of color, black, Asian, Hispanic, all of us, we were legally blocked from voting, legally segregated and excluded from wealth building programs. And every time communities of color fought to open the doors that were intentionally closed, the response was, you're asking for special treatment. And that's how people are talking today. You want special treatment because you black. You want special treatment because you Asian or whatever. No, people were asking for access to systems they were deliberately excluded from. Because once you erase the history, which is what this administration is trying to do, erase Black, Hispanic history, whatever. I don't know what they're doing with the Hispanic people, but they're trying to erase the Black history. Because once you erase the history, you start pretending the remedies are the problem. That's where this word colorblind comes into. Now let's talk about this word they love using, this administration love using, colorblind. It sounds fair, right? It sounds like, oh shit, we ain't got to worry about color. Don't depend on anything with color. Don't do that, right? It sounds good, right? But critics have been warning for years that color blindness is a political maneuver to ignore unequal conditions while pretending everybody is already standing on equal ground. Let's be clear. We were never standing on equal ground. If two runners are in the same race and one runner had chains on their legs for 300 years, you don't remove the chains and then immediately scream, okay, now everybody is completely equal. That's not equality. That's pretending history doesn't matter anymore because acknowledging it makes people uncomfortable. That's the issue that we have right here. That's the problem that we have with the erasure.
A political earthquake is happening right now, and the call is coming from inside the House. The administration's sudden, unauthorized war in the Middle East was supposed to rally the political base and distract the public. But instead, it has triggered an absolute mutiny within the MAGA movement itself. We are seeing conservative icons who spent years defending the president suddenly turning their backs on him. Top conservative media figures like Tucker Carlson and Megyn Kelly are absolutely blasting the administration. Carlson literally called the new bombing campaign absolutely disgusting and evil, stating that no American should have to die for a foreign country.
Oh, I got the wrong video. Sorry.
That racism doesn't exist while showing you what it looks like every single day.
Wait a minute, hold on. Okay. That's wild. Anyway, this discomfort, the discomfort that people feel is exactly what this administration is targeting. White discomfort, white guilt, whatever. I don't understand. White folks, you don't need to feel guilty. You didn't do anything. The whole point is for you to be aware of your history, to be cognizant of what people went through, to be sympathetic to the cause or to the plight, not to feel guilty, because you can't feel guilty. You're not the one who did it. So we don't expect you to feel guilty. We just expect you to be aware and to acknowledge what is going on. So now, the discomfort of white people is what this administration is targeting. They're trying to shrink the definition of racism until it only fits inside a person's heart. If they can convince you that racism is just individual hate, then they can argue that a system, which is white supremacist, a system can't be racist. It can be systematically racist, and this is what they're trying to say, that we're past, and we're not past that. Okay? You can never completely erase that from a society. Okay? But you don't need a racist banker person to have a racist outcome if the algorithm is still using zip codes shaped by decades of redlining. Because once people are convinced racism only means individual hatred, then systematic inequality becomes invisible. This is what the administration is trying to do: erase the fact that we have systematic racism. Everything becomes personal responsibility, according to them. To understand why this is a trap, we have to remember that civil rights laws did not appear out of nowhere. They were responses. Civil rights laws were responses to documented discrimination. The Voting Rights Act existed because Black voters were being systematically blocked from the ballot box. Hispanic people were being systematically blocked from the ballot box. Affirmative action emerged because entire industries had histories of excluding Blacks and Hispanics. Fair housing laws happened because redlining trapped generations of families out of owning homes and out into the ghettos and out into I hate this word because I can't say uninhabitable dwellings. Now we are being told by this administration that acknowledging these wounds is the same thing as inflicting one to white people. Listen to what I'm saying. We are being told that acknowledging these wounds, the fact that we got kept out of fair housing, the fact that we couldn't vote the way we wanted to, it was a poll tax, the way we couldn't get generational wealth. The administration is saying by giving us that, we're inflicting a wound on the white people. But medicine isn't discrimination against the healthy. It's a requirement for the injured. When we call these corrective tools racist, Civil Rights Act, DEI, Affirmative Act, when we call these corrective tools, when they call those things corrective tools racist, they call them racist. I don't. They're essentially saying that the medicine is worse than the disease. Okay. People keep saying we're on an equal playing field. If we're on an equal playing field now, what do you think taking away the tools that made us on an equal footing will do? What do you think taking those tools away will do? Taking DEI and all of those things away will do? It will make us uneven again. It will make us uneven again. So you can't get rid of those tools because we're not going to be even after you do so. Okay. And people keep saying, you harm white people. That's not the way the tools are meant to work. People feel re-victimized because of this president. A lot of people, Black, brown, Hispanic, Asian, a lot of people feel re-victimized because a lot of things that Black people fought for apply to Hispanic people, apply to Asian people. It applies to all of these people of color. It applies to all of them. Okay. And this is why there's a lot of re-victimization going on. This is the emotional piece that the talking head, the administration doesn't understand. For many years, these aren't academic arguments, okay? This is their lies. This is the honest to God rolling with it. They hear, people hear, white people hear administration here, they say, stop talking about race. After generations where race determined access and housing, how the hell can we stop talking about race? They hear everybody has equal opportunity now. When we have the Civil Rights Act and all these things in place, we had these things in place. Now everybody's equal. Not everybody is equal. It's not a matter of being equal. What was that first example I gave y'all? How can we be equal when one of the people that are in the race had their legs chained for 300 years, 400 years? How are you equal? Now that you take the chains off their legs, that doesn't make them equal. Two people running in a race, and one of them had chains on their legs for 300 years. And now you take the chains off, they're not equal. This is what we're trying to tell you. It's what I'm trying to tell you. We're not equal. So you taking the chains off doesn't mean that I still don't need a leg up, a help up, a hand that layers the playing field. So everybody's always talking about, stop talking about race. Race is important to white people. Race is important to white people. Because I remember looking at this one show, and this white lady said, who wants to do X, Y, and Z? And then she said, all the white people stand up if you want to be black for a week or a day or a month or a year. Did no white person want to stand up? And you know why they didn't want to stand up? They didn't want to stand up because they understand what it was like to be in the second position, to be in the second class citizen in this country, being treated like a second class citizen. Because if you didn't know or understand white supremacy, you didn't understand that white people sit on the top of the hierarchy. If you didn't understand that, you wouldn't mind being a black person or a white person or a Hispanic person. You are Hispanic or black or Asian. You wouldn't mind that. The white lady said, if you want to be a black person or a Hispanic person or whatever for a day or for a month or a year, stand up. Not now one of them white people wanted to stand up because you understand what it's like to be treated how a black person in this country is being treated. So you understand it. So if you understand that black people are not treated like white people, you understand white supremacy. You understand the privilege that white people have. So stop saying black people always bring up race. It's white people who feel that race is that white race is the superior race. It's the default. And this administration played into that default. They played into that. This is where we are now. Because they say, stop talking about race. Everybody has equal opportunities now. No, we don't. The things that were put into place, the Voting Rights Act, Section 2.5, that Sheldon decision in 2014 really gutted the voting right, not the Voting Rights Act, but yeah, the Voting Rights Act. It really gutted the Civil Rights Act. And then the destruction of the Section 2 being destroyed last week. Was it last week or beginning? Yeah, last week. That one being struck down or that one being diluted really took the protections away. Because now all of the Republicans is starting to be goofy. Let's cancel the election so we can get rid of the black and the Hispanic districts. Let's do that. If it wasn't all about trying to dilute the racial hierarchy and the racial component of their state out of blackness, they wouldn't be trying to cancel the elections and get rid of black voting power. They keep saying everybody has equality now while still living inside unequal school systems, unequal housing. Black people can't go to another school. They stuck in this school district. They can't send their kid to another school district My parents never even played. My parents took me out of a regular school and put me in private school. In school where I just went to school with girls all my life. Because they were like, no, we're not going to let her X, Y, and Z. I went to girls' school all my life. Catholic school all my life. Wore a uniform and all that. My parents was like, no, my daughter's not going to have to deal with that. She going to go to school right with those white kids that got money. We going to send her to the same schools so she can have the same opportunity as them. Because I was born where people still considered us 3/5 of a person. I was born in a society like that, where I was considered 3/5 of a person. I was born under that system before the Civil Rights Act came along. Okay, I was born in that system. You got to let that shit sink in. I was born in that system. Okay. People say, oh no, we equal now. We no. As I said, if two people are in a race, a black and white person is in a race, and you put chains on the black person's leg for 30 years and then decide to take that chain off, we ain't on no equal ground. That's not how that works. So we're still living in unequal school systems, housing, X, Y, and Z. That's the systematic part of it. And this is not just about a loss for the communities. It's a brain drain for the entire nation. We are here, and our country is in the peril problem that is in. Our country is in the headache and the downfall that is in because of white supremacy, or because of white men who never wanted anybody to challenge their racial hierarchy. They never wanted black people, Hispanic people, Asian people. They never wanted us to be equal. And to this day, Donald Trump gets away with what he gets away with because white men don't want us to be equal. And white women follow along with that whole scenario. I feel like white women betrayed all of us, all women. White women betrayed all women by voting for Donald Trump. But that's just my thought. So when we dismantle the ladders of access, we aren't just ending DEI. We're closing the door on talent. We are deciding as a country that we would rather protect the old white male hierarchy than compete with our full roster of geniuses and smart folks. Okay? To many people, it feels like being told your history no longer matters, but its consequences are still your problem. That's what it feels like. Donald Trump is running around deleting all black things. That's wild.
Begins. Oh my goodness. So Trump has been rolling out a whole bunch of executive orders. I mean, one by one. I believe historically he's done more executive orders on day one than any president to date. Out of all the executive orders, there were a couple that caught my attention. One just so happened to be regarding workplace discrimination that was enacted by LBJ in 1965. All right, just to keep that in mind, this is something that Trump has rolled back. It's an order regarding discrimination based on sex, race, color in the federal workplace. That is something that he rolled back, that he doesn't want anymore. And he cited, get this is the irony, he cited DEI. Well, he doesn't want DEI, and it's got to be merit-based. Bruh, this is the most heinous, the most hypocritical position this fool has taken. This whole concept of DEI is really the most just anti-black, most racist proposition that has been presented to this country. Because what they do is they talk about DEI, and then he'll have a whole cabinet that is DEI, or what they believe to be DEI. He talks about merit-based and then has a whole cabinet pick of people who are not qualified for the positions that he nominated them for, okay? What are we talking about with this DEI? We all know what DEI means, bruh. We all know what it means. It's very much the modern, the N-word. That's what they try to do. Their dog whistles, like I said, their dog whistles are becoming less dog whistly and more of just a dog barking. Okay, that's what it's become. They don't need dog whistles now anymore because they constantly want to talk about a colorless, a colorblind society. I'm sorry, who's responsible for that? Huh? Who's the one that did the lynchings? Who's the one that did the segregation? You say that, but then you do the exact opposite. This is what I'm talking about. You say these things, and then you talk about, hey, there's anti-white racism. How's there anti-white racism in a colorblind society? Wouldn't it just be racism? Why would it be anti-white? This is the hypocrisy that I'm talking about. They talk about merit-based, but then they have, Pete Hegseth. Then they have his vice president who's been in Congress, I forgot, 2 years, but yet want to talk about what we want merit-based policies. That's what we want. This is foolishness. To compound this foolishness, this cherry on top of this stupid sundae, he not only rolled back environmental protections for low-income neighborhoods, something that was enacted during Clinton's administration. This is what we're dealing with. This is the type of harm that's coming to our communities, what's left of them, all right?
From black Trump voters. Now, right off the bat, if you're black and you voted for Trump or you're still supporting Trump, you are delusional. If you think Trump, I've known Trump for 30 years. If you think he's pro-black people, you're completely delusional. I've been to Mar-a-Lago, I don't know how many times, and I've never seen a black person there. And Mar-a-Lago is a huge place. There's 1,000 people there when I used to go there for a fundraiser or an event. Never seen a black person. I've never seen a single black person there. Okay? Trump is not a fan of black people, but you probably didn't see this. If you're still supporting him, you probably didn't see how he snuck this in a couple of days ago. So a couple of days ago, if you're not familiar, Trump pulled back the law that kept federal workers in federal buildings from segregating bathrooms, drinking fountains, work areas from blacks and whites or any other race. Okay, it was always black and white, but that's what the law says. He pulled it. Okay, now we're going back to the days of the early 60s, late 50s, 1950s and before, where there were black water fountains, colored water fountains is what they call them for coloreds, and white water fountains, and restaurants. And now in federal buildings, they can discriminate against you. Okay, let me tell you, if you didn't know that, let me tell you what's next. It's coming. Watch.
Of the Pentagon's website acknowledging the service of American hero Jackie Robinson displayed a, quote, page not found error message. Jackie Robinson served in the U.S. Army during World War II before he went on to become a baseball legend, breaking the color barrier of Major League Baseball in 1947. The URL of Jackie Robinson's page was updated to include DEI, a webpage dedicated to the service of Ira Hayes, a Native American who served in the Marines and was one of the 6 men raising the American flag on Iwo Jima in this iconic photograph was taken down. According to the Washington Post, multiple articles about the Navajo code talkers who were critical to America's victory at Iwo Jima and the wider Pacific theater of the Second World War were also removed, along with a profile of Tonawanda Seneca officer who drafted the terms of the Confederacy's surrender at Appomattox toward the end of the Civil War. The AP reported that according to a database, it obtained references to a World War II Medal of Honor recipient, the Enola Gay aircraft that dropped an atomic bomb on Japan, and the first woman to pass Marine infantry training are among the tens of thousands of photos and online posts marked for deletion. There was a removal of video footage of the Tuskegee Airmen in training videos for members of the U.S. Air Force. Removed was a web page dedicated to Major General Charles Calvin Rogers, a Black Medal of Honor recipient who served in Vietnam. Arlington National Cemetery's website had, quote, scrubbed dozens of pages on grave sites and educational materials that include histories of prominent Black, Hispanic, and female service members buried in the cemetery.
Diversity.
See, that's the shebang right there. You're erasing, or you're trying to erase history, Black, Hispanic, you name it. And it's not so much in the news that it's also Hispanic. And you know how the news always distorts stuff. They don't mention the fact that they're trying to erase Mexican or Hispanic history. They're trying to erase all of those things from the Hispanic bit. because we understand that Donald Trump is the David person. I got somebody in the chat. Why do you try to keep saying Trump is because Trump is a racist? If you're a white person, you can't tell me what racist is to you. You can only tell you what racist is to you. You can't tell me what racist is to me. Okay? That's the whole point. But difference is Biden put things in place to help black people. He could have been racist, but Biden understood the beauty of the country. Biden understood that this country would fail if you did not acknowledge the rest of the people that were here in this country that gave contributions to this country. That's the difference between and I'll give you that, because a lot of people say, oh, Biden was racist too. Yeah, but Biden understood the value of the Hispanic and the Black and the Asian person's contribution to this, and the Native Americans' contribution to this country. Donald Trump is trying to erase those contributions to this country, as though that white people are the only people that contributed to this country. There's thousands of inventions that Black, Hispanic, and Asian people have brought to this world and that we use to this day. And people say, oh, Black and white and Hispanic, they didn't contribute to America. Yes, they did. They contribute heavily to this America. Just like white people contributed to America, Biden acknowledges the fact that Black people, Hispanic people, white, Asian people, and white people contributed to this country. Okay? Donald Trump is the one trying to erase that. I'm sorry. That is the way it is. Okay? It is way. Nobody tried to roll back DEI. Nobody has tried to roll back affirmative action. Nobody has tried to disappear the museums that are Black and Hispanic. Nobody is trying to take away the Tuskegee Airmen contributions. Call Black women who are one of the smartest people on this planet low IQ. Nobody has done that. Biden has never done that. This has only been this president who has done this. I'm sorry. Your president is racist. It is what it is. It just is what it is. Well, nobody's surprised. Nobody's surprised or anything else. Okay. It just is what it is. Now, there are those who look at the data and say, wait a minute, the laws changed civil rights era. Look at the success of other groups. Look at the success of the Asians, the Hispanics or whatever. Isn't this really about culture and individual choices? Some people will say that. We got you. That is that is a conversation we have to be honest enough to have, right? Because individual agency does matter. Choices matter. Family matters. But here's the trap, and here's the go-to. You cannot use the success of some to justify the systematic barriers that remain for many. When people point to personal responsibility, they ignore the systems define those options that are available. Trump is on. Y'all wild in the chat. You don't need a whites only sign on a school. Wait a minute, hold on. How I say that? You don't need a whites only sign on a school door when property tax funding ensures a school in one zip code has 40-year-old textbooks and doesn't have computers and doesn't have all of the things that they need. You don't need a whites only sign on a school door for that. Specifically, when a school that's 5 miles away and only white people go to it and they got a robotics lab, or every kid gets a personal computer. You don't need to say whites only. Okay? That isn't a cultural choice. That is a system working exactly how it was designed to do, to keep these people in place over here and these people not. Every kid should have access to a computer, a robotics lab, free food, free lunch, all the advantages that a rich neighborhood school should have. Every school for our kids in America should have the same opportunities. Okay. And this is the problem that we have with people like you, Dave-O. Black people would never bring up race. We would never bring up race if you white people didn't think you were better than the black race. If you wouldn't put systems in place, no, not put systems in place. You wouldn't uplift systems that discriminated against other races and other people. We would never have to bring up race, sir. We would never have to bring up race. Just is what it is. So when we talk about the breakdown of the family, we have to ask, what role did half a century of mass incarceration and lopsided sentencing play in breaking up those families? History isn't just a starting point, okay? It's the architecture of the current landscape. Yes, people can and do climb over the wall. I get that. But the fact that some people are great climbers doesn't mean the wall of racism is not there. Systematic racism is not there. That don't mean the wall ain't there just because some of us can get over the wall. Okay? If we pretend that current disparities are only results of individual failure, we aren't being colorblind, okay? We're being historically illiterate. Okay? Stop it.
It's making a lot of people feel some type of way. But what y'all failing to realize is he is erasing us from black history. Now y'all probably saying, who is these guys? Those are the Tuskegee Airmen, which will no longer be taught at the U.S. Air Force because of Donald Trump's orders.
Why would Donald Trump eliminate teaching about the Tuskegee Airmen? Why would he need to do that? Why would you need to get rid of talking about the Tuskegee Airmen? Why would you need to do that?
So let me give you a little education. The Tuskegee Airmen were the first African-American military pilots in the United States. They served in World War II and were trailblazers. They were also a part of the 332nd Fighter Group, which were made up of 4 fighter squadrons. They were also pilots and navigators. They paved the way for the desegregation of the military in 1948. They inspired the civil rights movement of the...
So why is it that Pete Hegseth is starting to fire competent black women or black people, women from the military? Why is it that they feel the need to erase black progress in the military? Anybody that's been in the military, knows if you made it up there as an officer, you made it up there, you earned being up there. Black, white, you name it. Anybody who has been in the military knows if you made it to be promoted to what those people were supposed to be promoted to, you know those people earned that spot. Bullshit. Anybody that's in the military knows those people earn that spot. And Pete Hegseth had no damn right to fire those damn people talking about we ain't gonna have no woke. What the fuck do you mean? Them people ain't woke. Them people earn them spots up there in the military. Why do you have the need and think they didn't earn them spots up there? Them women didn't earn them spots. Them black men or black people, whatever, didn't earn them spots. What made you think that the hardest place in the damn military to get would be where they got? What the hell made you think that they didn't earn them spots? That's wild. And everybody is overlooking it like, oh, it ain't no big deal. It ain't no big deal to fire them. People should be outraged.
1950s and 1960s. They proved that African Americans were capable of serving in the military. And for their distinguished service, they were awarded flying crosses, silver stars, and purple hearts. So while everybody running around talking about DEI and let's Trump's new order on diversity is making a lot of people feel some type of way. But what y'all failing to realize is he is erasing us from Black history. Now y'all probably saying, who is these guys? Those are the Tuskegee Airmen, which will no longer be taught at the U.S. Air Force because of Donald Trump's orders. So let me give you a little education. The Tuskegee Airmen.
Hold on. Keep going.
It begins.
Hold on.
Girl.
Sorry.
I'm going to address that in this video. That's the upcoming video. What I want to address in this video is something really that I addressed almost a year ago, having to do with Project 2025. And this is about the Civil Rights Act of 1964. Specifically, it has to do with something called disparate impact. It is extremely important, disparate impact, when filing and litigating civil rights cases. So this is going to have a big impact on civil rights cases that even without...
You went too far. This man right here. I'm sorry, y'all.
Rewrite all correspondence to address Black employees by their first names. The way Trump addressed the Librarian of Congress, Carla Hayden, by her first name when he crowed publicly about firing her for no reason. In the year of our Lord 2025 and now 2026, this president and this administration is not just inheriting that history from the Wilson administration, it's furthering it in its own ways. Since 1965, there has been an executive order in effect. It was signed by Lyndon Johnson, 1965. Since 1965, all federal contractors have been banned by executive order from discriminating on the basis of race, color, religion, sex, sexual orientation, gender identity, or national origin. Donald Trump rescinded that 1965 rule on his first full day in office. Less than a month later, Trump announced another rule change. They rescinded Clause 52.222-21 of the Federal Acquisition Regulation, which doesn't sound like much, but I'll tell you what the title of that is. It's Prohibition of Segregated Facilities. That's what Trump rescinded less than 1 month into being back in the White House. That section reads, quote, the contractor agrees that it does not and will not maintain or provide for its employees any segregated facilities at any of its establishments, and that it does not and will not permit its employees to perform their services at any.
And you know that Trump rescinded those orders, right? Now you can be discriminatory. You can be discriminatory. That's the wild part right there. So I'm gonna play this last part. Here we go.
Examples of the Trump administration attempting to basically erase Black history. Just last month, the National Park Service removed a memorial honoring the lives of 9 people who were enslaved by George Washington. The Air Force removed training courses with videos that featured the Tuskegee Airmen. A Department of Defense website celebrating the military service of Jackie Robinson was also removed. But of course, they restored it after the public pushed back. And Trump issued an executive order targeting the National Museum of African American History and Culture for being, quote, divisive. Black history is highlighting heroism about how Black people join with people of all backgrounds to march our nation forward. We don't make America weaker by telling our truth. We actually celebrate our strength for overcoming our difficulties, for healing our wounds, for making a stronger, more unified, more united states of America. We must fight back. We must push back.
So, President Trump didn't specifically say that Black museums as a whole were divisive. He didn't say that. What he did was sign an executive order in March of 2025 targeting what his administration calls divisive race-centered ideology. Let's be clear. if we did not have a society in which the dominant race, the white collective, thought they deserved more than the minority races, or they deserved to be on top of the hierarchy of all the races. If we didn't have a society that thought that way, race would never come into this. And as long as we have a dominant society, the white society that we live in, who feels like that, majority of them feels like that, we're always going to have a problem with race. It just is what it is. So anyway, he didn't say, he said divisive, race-centered ideology, according to the president, in federally supported museums. And he specifically singled out the Smithsonian and the National Museum of African American History and Culture. The administration's argument was essentially some museums exhibit focus too heavily on racism, oppression, gender, and system equality. Trump said he believes those exhibits promote guilt. Why would a white person need to feel guilty? We want you to be aware, not be guilty. We want you to be aware as a white person that this is what you support as a white person. If you don't want to support that, then you need to do everything in your power to dismantle it. Your ancestors put this white supremacy hierarchy in place. If you're a conscious white person who doesn't want to have problems with race, then you need to do everything you can in order to dismantle it. You need to be a part of you need to be a part of the solution, not the problem. You going along day to day, there's no such thing as racism. When you go along in this world and you believe there's no such thing as systematic racism and problems with racism, you don't help the problem. You just continue to perpetuate the harm that you do to Black, brown, and Asian people. Okay? The whole point is, critics say the executive orders are very different. Historical groups, civil rights groups. Black history is American history. They got a problem with that. Discussing slavery, segregation, discrimination, they got a problem with that. Calling those discussions divisive can become a way of sanitizing what the hell our history is. Why would somebody want to get rid of our history? Why would you want to get rid of your history? Okay. This executive order that Donald Trump put into place. Divisive narratives, improper ideology. What do you mean race-centered ideology? We can't never get past race until white people understand that we are all equal on the same playing field and act accordingly. Put laws in place to act accordingly. Okay. So this conflict is not about two competing views of history. Trump's side say some museums have become ideologically and portray America primarily through oppressive and racism. But we can't see history except in a way of being oppressive and racist. Okay? That's why this is very controversial. This is why we always going to have a problem. This debate is bigger than DEI. It's bigger than affirmative action. It's bigger than that. It's bigger than these campaign slogans. Okay? The critics are not wrong when they say that individual choices are the engines of success. I get all of that. Your individual choices help you be successful. I get that too. But they are wrong to suggest that those engines can run at full speed while the tires are spiked and flat. And they're spiked by the architecture of our past. One side says the way forward is to stop saying race entirely and let merit sort the rest out. Merit-based society. There's no such thing as neutrality or just a merit-based society. As long as we have a group of people at the top, white males primarily, who seem to think everybody that's not them is less competent. Now we have mediocre white men thinking that they're better than the best Hispanic genius. This is what Donald Trump has wrought onto our country. Letting mediocre white people think that they're better than Barack Obama. And that's the problem. If you're a mediocre white person, regular, ordinary white person, and you think you're better than Obama, then you're a part of the problem. You're a part of why our country is sick and our country needs to heal from this kind of division. We need to get past a president like Donald Trump. We don't need a president like Donald Trump. Donald Trump is the person that stirred up all of the resentment and all of the entitlement and all of the division in this country. Donald Trump stirred that up. We cannot have true merit in a system where the starting line was moved by some and the finish line was hidden by others. You cannot fix damage you refuse to acknowledge too. And it is what it is. You all hit that like button. I hope you guys been hitting that like button, please, and thank you. I appreciate the like button because this is the kind of content I like. Okay. If history becomes invisible, then equality starts looking natural instead of constructed. And once people accept that framing, okay, the systems that produce those inequalities no longer need to justify themselves. Okay, this is why this conversation matters. This is why race and the conversation about race matters. People have to understand the rot and the destruction that this president has wrought onto this country by making this normal. You cannot eliminate a group of people, a group of a whole bunch of people. You cannot eliminate those people and who breathe in the same country as you and call it equal, because we never have been equal. And we have been trying to be equal. I'm going to leave you with this one thing. Please hit the like, share, and subscribe. I appreciate you being here. I was born in this system of the United States, and I was considered non-human when I was born. Yes, TDS stage 5 is hilarious. It's hilarious. And we love to play the victim. As I said, you're one of those people that will never help us get past what we need to get past. Because if you never acknowledge what the past is, if you never acknowledge that we have never been on an equal playing field, as long as you acknowledge that, as long as you don't understand that chaining a person's legs for 300 years and then taking them off doesn't mean we're equal. We have never been equal. But I'm not going to talk to goofies because goofies don't understand what I'm saying. I was born into a system where I was not considered human. Born into that. So if you like my content and you like my commentary, please hit the like, share, and subscribe. Please and thank you. I appreciate it. And I will be back here tomorrow evening with another video. I appreciate all of you guys. I appreciate that you came out. Please hit the like, share, and subscribe. I'm just trying to make this world a better place. I'm trying to make us better. We could be such a powerful, powerful country. We are a powerful country, but we could be better. We could do better, y'all. You do better. So I will see you tomorrow with another video. Please and thank you. And I hope you guys come back at 10 o'clock tomorrow. Please. Thank you. Hit the like button, please, and thank you. I appreciate you guys. Oh, let me leave you with this one sign.